So the next hint that I want to show you is that how do you get rid of fractions which you are in the decimals, if they're the things you're trying to get rid of, right? Which are multiplying or around my variable. So I'm going to do decimals first because it's actually a little bit easier. So let's see, for example, you have 0.3x minus 0.2 equals 8.8, let's say. Okay, so let's say this is your problem right here. So you just do this as if they were numbers that were decimals, right? And so if you have the first thing you have to deal with is the subtraction, because subtraction goes last on the order of operations, so first in the order of solving. And therefore, I'm going to deal with the negative 0.2 first. The opposite of negative 0.2 is plus 0.2. So I'm going to add plus 0.2 to both sides. And then when you do that, the 0.2s will cancel out, and then you have 0.3x equals 9, right? Now you have 0.3x multiplying the x, so you have to divide both sides by 0.3 in order to get rid of it. And then the 0.3s will cancel out, and then you have your answer, which is x equals 30. And you can do this in a calculator if you can't do it in your head like I just did, but it's okay. And you may notice that the number went higher. That makes sense because when you divide by something smaller than 1, it actually makes the numbers get bigger. But just trust your calculator. If that's what you got, it's what you got. And it's okay to do with the calculator because we're trying to see if you can do the operations, not if you can calculate. By the way, you should plug this in back into your original to check if you're right. But I am going to, since I only have 5 minutes on this video, I'm going to show you the other thing that I wanted to show you, which is try to get rid of fractions. So the way I get rid of fractions is, like, for example, you have 5, 4, x minus 2 equals 18. Okay? So how do you get rid of that? Well, order of operations, subtraction goes first. I add 2 to both sides to get rid of the negative 2, which is the first thing you need to do since subtraction goes first in the reverse order of operations. The 2's cancel out. Now I have 5/4 x equals 20. Don't forget to always copy down the part that isn't canceled, right? All right, so now how do you get rid of that fraction? Well, there's 2 things you can do. You need 2 more steps, which is what I'm going to do first. Or you can do 1 step, which is multiplying by the inverse of the fraction. So here's the 2-step method. The first thing you're going to do is get rid of that 5 by dividing both sides by 5, since the 5 is multiplying the x. So if I do that, then the 5's will cancel out, and all I have left is x divided by 4 equals 20 divided by 5, which is 4. Okay? But now I have to multiply both sides by 4 because this 4 is dividing by x. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 4, and then x equals 16. So that is the first way to do it. And I like doing it like that because it's careful. But I also like this method where you just do 5 for x equals 20. What you do is you multiply both sides by the opposite or inverse fraction, or inverse, not opposite fraction. So in this case, I'm doing it like that. 4/5 is the opposite of 5/4, but you have to do it to both sides, right? How does that help? It helps because when you multiply 4 times 5, you get 20. And 5 times 4, you get 20. 20 divided by 20 is 1. So this cancels out this fraction. So multiplying by that, it's kind of like doing the 2 steps that we did all at once. You multiply by 4 and divide it by 5 at the same time, leaving only the x left on the left side. And then you pull out a calculator and you do this. I can do this in my head because it's 20 divided by 5 is 4 times 4, 16. You get the same answer as before. It must be the right answer, but it's always good to check to see if you got it right. So I'm going to go back to my original problem here and see really quick what was the right answer. So 5/4, I'm going to plug into 16, minus 2 equals 18. And I do orders of operation. 16 divided by 4 is 4, times 5 is 20. So I took care of that. Minus 2 equals 18. 20 minus 2 is 18. So 18 is 18. I am right. So that's how you do this getting rid of fractions and decimals. Don't get overwhelmed. They're okay. They need to be loved too. There to help you if you need to in office hours. Come by.